Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Final Whistle. David Giacomino, Kevin Walsh here. We're here talking some basketball playoffs.
Yeah, man.
Walsh is excited.
Yeah, man. Come on. How about that first round? Turned out to be a pretty good first round, actually.
Better than expected.
Better
I'll
than
say.
it started, for sure.
Yeah.
Got off to a horrible start. But it turned around. Pair of game sevens. So some interesting storylines.
Yeah, actually, and some unfortunate storylines. I'll say that as well because of the injuries to the Clippers and the Warriors. So, it kills me for the Clippers. That might be the last run for this group of guys because I think it's gonna get blown up.
I could see Blake being moved.
I think Blake's the guy to get moved. I really do.
Yeah, it's gonna be it's tough, man, to see that.
I will say this just quick before we go into the playoff talk. If it's offered, Blake for Carmelo, do you do it?
If I'm who?
Either team.
Yeah, I guess I probably would. Right?
I mean, for both teams.
I would. I think Blake could play with Kristaps.
Yeah. I mean, he could play. If he could play with
DeAndre.
Yeah, I think he could play with.
Because Kristaps.
And I think that'd be better too because Porzingis plays on the outside more.
So he won't be in his way.
Yeah.
Which is good. But Kristaps can play the 5, I think.
Yeah.
He can use that athleticism.
I think he might be too skinny to guard a 5.
You know what? Really think about it. How many big, huge, bulking 5s are there? I mean, really, like huge monster offensive threats.
Not
Marcus Saul, maybe DeMarcus Cousins, and maybe a Jahlil Okafor.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But
So I think that's why I think Kristaps can manage.
He's got the wingspan to manage that, so I think he'd be okay with that. So I mean, that's one thing that's always been talked about. That can match up.
And I think Melo would do well over there too.
I think so too. But I think Chris Paul would get him the ball.
Yeah, I think they play very well together.
On that team with the starting 5, he'd be the primary guy to score.
Yeah, he'd be doing.
And I think that put him over, in contention.
I think they would be probably better off, almost in a way. I think with the Melo acquisition, if that were to be possible. That's interesting, to be honest. That's interesting. So we'll see how that goes, though. So let's look at what we got now. We got the Hawks, Cavs. They're playing right now. We got the Raptors going up against the Heat. We got the Warriors, who are currently up 1-0 against the Trailblazers, and the Spurs, who are currently up 1-0 against the Thunder. Do you want to start on the eastern side or the western side of things?
I think the East is gonna be a little boring, to be honest.
So let's roll through the East then. Cavs.
I think they're gonna sweep. I don't see them losing a game.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I mean, right now the Hawks got them close. It's a close game. The last I saw, 79-78. But I just don't think it matters. And I just...
And the game, even the games, the first round for the Cavs were not blowouts.
No.
So I don't think they care about blowing teams out. They just kind of win the games.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I'm not saying they're going to blow them out all 4 games. They'll win all 4 games.
Yeah, I think that's probably how I see it. They've actually all time. I think they've swept them both times. He's met the Hawks. LeBron has.
Yeah.
With the Cavs, so that's probably how it goes. To be completely honest, it's kind of irrelevant in a way, that Hawks series. Not to be rude, but I think that the Cavs' next series is finally where you see some competition.
Yes, but I don't think it's as much as people think, to be honest. Because I think it's going to be the Heat eventually that win the series, and there's going to be a huge storyline. LeBron's playing the Heat in the conference finals, blah, blah, blah. It'd be bigger if the Heat were better. But
if Bosh was playing...
I hear he's pushing to play.
He wants to play.
But you can't.
They may be waiting to see if they're in that position to play in the Eastern Conference Finals.
But would he make a big difference? He hasn't played in how long?
He's still an all-star caliber player, though.
I know, but I'm saying he's to be rusty. He's not going to be.
Well, he's shooting all the time. He's always practicing, not with the team, but I think he's off to the side. I don't know. But I think that might be part of the reason is they're concerned about messing up the rotations. Luol Deng's been brilliant for them, actually.
Yes.
Was probably
how's Joe Johnson doing?
Didn't do all too much, to be honest.
No.
in that Charlotte
I'm
series.
trying to think about. I can't really think of him making a big contribution to.
However, he makes a difference because he
Just
commands one of your primary defenders, and he's always
for
capable.
being there, yeah, because he's a threat.
He commands a lot of respect, and that's one of the big things. I think the Heat Raptor series is going to be a very good series. I think it's going to be a very good series.
I could see it going deep.
I think either team can take a game, maybe two, from the Cavs, and I do believe that.
You think Toronto could take a couple of games?
I do too. I do. I think in Toronto they can win. I think that if DeMar and Kyle Lowry are on at the same point, I think that they could take two. I think that's possible.
But in no way you think either team's gonna beat them, right?
I don't think the Raptors would stand a chance. I think due to the storyline of things and the experience of Dwayne Wade, then and the fact that he has a good supporting cast around him, that it's possible. It's possible, but when you look at how they lost the 3 games to Charlotte and how they won the 4 games against Charlotte,
Especially the last one.
it was interesting. The 3 of the 4 wins against Charlotte were absolute blowouts. They just destroyed them. And then the other game, Dwayne Wade put on a clutch performance to force a Game 7. But the 3 games that they lost, they played terrible. They can't afford that.
Because if they do that, I'll be a blowout.
Because the Cavs will run them off
Yeah.
the floor then. But the question is, if the Heat are at that peak performance like they were in a couple of those games against Charlotte, does that put them even with the Cavs? Does that put them above the Cavs? What is that level of play against the Cavs, and is it capable against the Cavs, who are, if we're going to be very honest, a much better team than the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah.
So
and Kemba was playing.
37 in Game 6, did everything he could, just didn't have an
He's
extra
playing
hand to help
great.
him.
He's playing great. And I think if he gets a little help, then they might be something next year.
Yeah, I mean, the Hornets are a promising team in the sense that they have a star guard, and Al Jefferson is respectable despite his age. But they need a number 2 guy. Batum is very good, and I think a healthy Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, there's pieces in place. But, Kemba needs his Robin. Or Kemba needs to be Robin to a Batman. Whichever one it is.
It's gotten to the point where in today's NBA, you need something like that.
I mean, it's always been like that. You've always needed a Batman Robin. I mean, now we're used to the trios,
the big threes, yeah.
But you've always needed at least the Batman Robins. But I think that all signs point to the Cavs making it back to the finals.
Yeah, and
that's where all signs
I think
point.
they'll be able to be pretty rested too if they're able to finish these series out too.
Being honest, I remember we had spoke about this. The Cavs do have the potential to be 12-0 by the time the finals start.
I would not. It would not shock me a bit.
So that's going to be a very interesting thing to see.
Yeah, and now kind of going over to the other side, the Western Conference. We saw a couple of things in the first round. Houston gave the Warriors a little run for their money because of the injury to Steph.
The Rockets are a very disappointing basketball team, to say the least.
I mean, James Harden. I mean, I gotta respect what he was doing. He was trying everything he could. Even Dwight Howard was playing decent at times, but
It's like
the hack of Howard got to them. They kept sending him to the line, and he was not making any of them. Not even one of two. Wasn't making any of them. And
despite Harden's best efforts,
they still lost
on
by
offense,
They still.
he needs to put focus and energy on being a leader. It is a true trait that is necessary to be the guy, and he doesn't have it at the moment.
And do you think it's because he doesn't play defense? And I've watched games where if it's 1-on-1 with him, he'll actually play defense. But if he's away from the ball, he won't even bother.
He's a lazy off-ball defender, and that's not a good characteristic.
It's awful. If your best player is not playing defense, then why should I?
And see, because when you're bad on off-ball defense, that shows that you're not engaged. You can't be a leader when you're not engaged. You have to be ready to play a full 48 minutes if it's needed in order to get that win. Listen, I went into this series and I said, listen, the Warriors are the obvious better team. The Rockets have the talent, though, to maybe make this thing interesting. Then Steph went down, and the question to me was, do the Rockets now wake up and say, oh my goodness, there's actually a chance here, and give themselves that confidence that they should have, considering last year they played this team in the conference finals as a 2 seed.
And I was saying those same things, but I was also saying the same thing for the Warriors. Are they gonna have guys go, okay, Steph's down, let's step up?
And
Which
they've been doing that all year long.
and they did, and it was Draymond Green played great. Klay Thompson played insane.
Here's one of the things that makes this transition for the Warriors easier than I think it would be on any team when losing their best player. Steph doesn't play an MVP's minutes, if that makes sense. His workload isn't that of a LeBron James. It's not that of a James Harden. So they're used to having so many different rotations. They're used to when Clay's the best guy on the floor, when Draymond's the best guy on the floor. They're used to Sean Livingston running their offense, while Steph grabs a breather, has already put the game out of reach for the other team. So this is not like you've seen it when LeBron sat out a couple games this year for the Cavs. They just kind of seem very lost without him. The Warriors are not lost without Steph. They actually know exactly what to do.
And we saw it a lot of times. If and at any point in the game, the first quarter, if the two starting fives from the teams will keep the game within reach, kind of, and then the second unit will come in and just blow out the other team's second unit because they're just so much better. And that's happened so many times. And then Steph will come back in and just add on threes and then put the game out of reach.
Yeah.
So it's...
And they're now in a position where they're playing the Trailblazers, who...
It's a nice story,
are
but...
on a miracle run.
Yeah,
being a 5th seed's outrageous. They got very fortunate about the injuries to the Los Angeles Stars, but they were putting up a fight with those two in the game. So, realistically... they could have won that series, but they're now in a position where it's just not going to happen, I don't think. And this is the thing. Now the Warriors have the opportunity to probably sit Steph.
He says he wants to play in Game 3. There's
What?
no reason to. They can beat them without him.
No reason. He honestly...
They say he's gonna try and scrimmage in the next few days and then play in Game 3. I think it's on Saturday.
I think I wouldn't even consider playing Steph until the Trailblazers have won 2 basketball games.
Yeah.
So even if the series is 1-1 going into Game 3,
I think he'd absolutely play then.
He would, but I wouldn't play him.
I agree. I don't think he should bother, but if it got to that point,
but we don't even know if he's medically cleared. We just know he wants to play, which we've known since he got hurt. Because when he got hurt, he tried to run back out there and then couldn't.
I respected that. No,
of course, but we don't listen. Steph right now is in a position where he's going to consistently say, "I'm going to be out there. I'm going to try and play as soon as possible." We don't know when that realistically is.
Yeah, and you don't want to come to a point where he comes back, plays when he shouldn't, and then hurt it even worse. Like we've seen Derrick Rose do that before all the injuries came. He did that, tried coming back sooner, and even just completely killed himself.
Yeah. So one of the things that they need is for the Thunder to not allow games to look how they did last night. They need a long 7-game tough series.
That was shocking. They were outplayed. They were out hustled. It seemed like the Spurs were just on a different platform.
Honestly, though, the one thing is the Spurs just played their best game of the playoffs. It's not going to get better than that. It's not going to get better than 30-plus from LaMarcus and 30-plus from Kawhi. If he scored, I know he had at least 25. But so you take all that from those two, while shooting 65% as a team. It's not going to get better than that, while Westbrook and Durant are having both off nights. So realistically, tonight's game, you could see things be Very different. Now, I don't think the Thunder are going to go out there and blow them out by 30. That's outrageous to assume, or even mention, I would say. But I think that the Thunder have a very good chance to win tonight's game, to be completely honest.
In San Antonio, where they've only lost once to the Warriors,
They,
I don't know about that.
I think that, listen, you're going Spurs in this series, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think I'm going OKC.
Are you? So they have to win at some point
At some point in San Antonio.
Okay. That's going out on a limb. I'm not gonna lie. It is. You don't think it is?
No, it is. It is. I'm still very big on the duo, to be completely honest. I'm still very big on the Westbrook Durant duo.
It's, we haven't seen it at too many times where they're clicking at the same time. A lot of times it's one or the other. Because what they do is, whenever one gets hot, they keep dishing him the ball. And they don't really allow the other guy to get hot. But can you blame them at that?
No, but when they're at their best is when Westbrook's shooting efficiently, but significantly less than Durant, and he's out there and he's got 23 points with 12 assists and 9 rebounds, and Durant's got 33. And I know that sounds like you're asking for a lot, but for these two guys, it's not. It's what they do. So it's going to be, to me, tonight is going to be a massive game for the Thunder.
So in game one, Durant took 15 shots. Westbrook took 19. So, they didn't play, I think, a little bit in the fourth quarter because they were losing by so much. They were down by 42 at one point.
How many points did Kawhi and LaMarcus have individually?
Kawhi had 25. LaMarcus Aldridge had 38.
Yeah. So,
and Green added another 18.
And if you can pull up the team field goal percentage, it was, the Spurs just played their best game of the playoffs.
They shot 60% from the field
for the whole game
and 60% from 3-point line
for the whole game. Like, that's the best game the Spurs will play the whole postseason.
And if they play another game like that, they will not lose the game. But at the same time, the Thunder only shot 40%.
And that's the thing. Like, so when a team plays like that, you're not beating them. It's just a matter of how much you lose by. So the Thunder had a pretty bad game. So it's just, it's going to look like that. It's going to look like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm trying to. Serge Ibaka had 19,
which is one of the things that's actually a good takeaway, though, because if you can get Ibaka going, then that's going to be key, because we all know what the Thunder need help. You always are going to trust guy 1 and guy 2. The Thunder are going to need help, and as Kanter can help, Steven Adams, but Ibaka needs to be that guy that he was when the Thunder found themselves in the finals against the Heat back in 2012.
And if he is that guy, then they do have potential to win this series. But without that, I don't see it happening at all, because I think Aldridge would be too much. I don't think he can be guarded in this series. I
don't think he can't be guarded. He can't be guarded. Period.
He has a huge wingspan, and he shoots it up like Kevin Garnett used to do back in his day.
He's got a beautiful jump shot. He is a mismatch throughout the postseason.
Duncan only played 21 minutes. They didn't even need him to play. So
it's going to be
Kawhi Leonard
for the Thunder.
Wow, Kawhi Leonard only played 21 minutes. He scored 25 points.
Marcus Aldridge played 30 and scored 38.
Wow.
Efficiency. They played their best game, and I bet you they shot pretty bad in the fourth quarter. I wouldn't be surprised.
All the bench players,
yeah.
1 for 7.
That's
1 for 4.
That's what I'm saying. So that field goal percentage was closer to 70. They played their best game of the playoffs. That's one of the things for the Thunder, is that's not happening again. Thunder need to come out tonight and just play good basketball. It doesn't need to be attack straight mode. We don't need to be up by 15 in the first minute. You just need to play good basketball, value every single possession.
And do you think that, if, let's say they do finish up the series early and the Warriors are still playing, do you think that has any effect? Or let's say if the Spurs have some resting time and the Warriors are still playing, do you think that has any effect on anything? But when they play?
I think the only effect it has on, like, what does that do for Steph? To me, that's the biggest thing. Realistically, if the Spurs finish up quick, the Warriors are better off playing a longer series that honestly they'll eventually win, that Steph doesn't partake in. That just gives Steph more time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what people will be like, "Oh, that's stupid." Is it?
No.
They're better off going 6 games and Steph doesn't play in all of them, and it extends how long this series takes and gives Steph a chance to be back, because they're gonna need Steph
To beat the Spurs, they absolutely need
They
Steph.
need Steph to beat the Thunder as well.
Because in the games that the Warriors lost to the Spurs this year, Steph was one, he didn't play. Right? Am I right? One, he didn't play in.
Who's that?
Steph.
In which game?
When they lost to the Spurs. One he didn't play, I'm pretty sure. Then the other one he didn't.
No, they only lost to the Spurs once, and he played. And he played badly. I'm
you
almost
sure?
positive.
Okay. But anyway, still they're gonna need his scoring in order to beat the Spurs, because they have a couple of good defenders on the team to take a Klay Thompson, take Draymond Green, you know. So
I'm trying to. I can't even. I don't. I think no, because I think they all shot pretty badly. I think Steph played pretty badly. That was like an 85-79 victory for the Spurs that year. I mean, that game rather.
oh yeah, it was 87. Yeah, 87-79. You're right. So they beat him. They beat them twice. They lost once. Okay, I thought it was they
no,
split.
I understand, but
yeah.
They need Steph back. That's going to be key. And you need Steph playing before you enter the Cavs series, if that's how it ends up in the finals.
Yeah, absolutely, because he's going to be going against Kyrie, and Kyrie's no picnic. So
Klay's going to be going against Kyrie, and Klay, Klay right now is obviously putting a lot of pressure on either Damian Lillard or CJ McCollum. I think it's CJ McCollum he's guarding, but you're kind of seeing this right now. They're kind of getting blown by, but the bigs are really stepping up, Bogut and Draymond, and forcing the layups to be difficult for the Trailblazers. That's how it looked in Game 1. Because the problem is Klay cannot put out as much effort as he normally does on defense in order for him to be as effective as he needs to be on offense.
I think that's the case for most any players besides like LeBron, because he's just a freak of nature. But that's really been the case a lot, because they've had such a good inside presence that even if you get by him, you're running into a Bogut or and teams actually have you seen teams have actually gone to hack a Bogut and sending him to the line? Yeah,
he can't shoot free throws.
But
don't know why it hasn't been a thing for much longer.
But even that, they should take him out and put Draymond at the 5.
Force teams to do that though. And see if Miles Plumlee can get something going from the post with the height advantage that he has.
Green is just.
I
doesn't
agree.
Matter. He's
but listen,
great defender.
even if what you do is you pull Bogut out of the game, Miles Plumlee plays on the high post, comes off some screens, and then you force Draymond to hedge screens, come out, trap ball carrier, let Damian Lillard or CJ McCollum make a pass, because now the rotations coming over are from an Andre Iguodala as opposed to an Andrew Bogut, or Draymond coming over because Bogut was hedging the screen. That's the big difference, is allowing yourselves a lot more space.
And we saw the Cavs do a lot of that, but still, Iguodala is like another great defender. He's a very much above average defender.
And Harrison Barnes is another
one. And
there's so much talent on that team. There's absolutely no denying that. It's very obvious. There's so much talent on that basketball team, but at the end of the day, it has to come down to the pressure applied to them by other teams.
So you're taking the Warriors, obviously, right?
Against the oh, for sure.
Yeah, and I know you're going back and forth for the Thunder, Spurs. Who are you gonna take?
I'm gonna take the Thunder.
Are you going? Are you?
I'm gonna take the Thunder. I'll be honest with you though. Such a toss up to me. Such a toss up. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I just think that despite how Game 1 went, I still think it's going to be one of the better series that we've been treated to.
I'll tell you one thing. That'd be something if after Game 1 they'd come back and win the series. That would be huge. And all right, so let's play the scenario out. Like, it would be Warriors, Thunder. Who do you have in that?
I told you this the whole time. I don't think
So
the Warriors.
you think the Thunder would beat them?
I don't think the Warriors make it to the finals.
And
I
if
still don't.
the Thunder get another shot at LeBron?
Which I still don't think goes well for them.
No, I don't think it'd go well for
I
them
think the
either.
Spurs are the only team that can beat the Cavs, and I still take the Cavs, but I think the Spurs are the only team that has the chance to beat the Cavs.
I still think the Warriors would beat them. I'm not convinced the Spurs would beat them, but I just wouldn't know who I'd pick at this point if it was Spurs Cavs, because I mean both teams are obviously really good.
Right.
So I don't know. It'd be a toss up. So on a side note, did you hear today regarding LeBron James Space Jam 2 is coming out?
What are we doing? I'm not into it.
Neither am I.
No, thank you. Space Jam 1 was fine.
I
My concern is that they make Space Jam 2 identical to Space Jam 1, and that they try to recreate things, and that it's not going to be its own movie.
This is what my biggest question was. If you're LeBron James and you've been living in the shadow of Michael Jordan throughout your whole career, people have been comparing you to Michael Jordan for your whole career. Everything you do is compared to Michael Jordan. Why would you go put yourself in this position to play a role that is iconic, that so many people like just attach him to this movie? Why would you go put yourself in this position to do Space Jam 2?
But are you going to pass up on that, though?
But is anybody gonna go watch this movie and go, "Oh man, he was really good. He was better than Space Jam 1."
Oh,
No,
I mean, that's...
no. But that's what I'm saying. You're not. There's not one person that's gonna say, "Yeah, that
Are you
he
gonna go
was
see
better
it?
than Jordan." Oh, obviously.
Listen, it's a great opportunity. And also, I mean, LeBron's kind of been doing more acting, so I don't know if that's just something he's kind of interested in. So,
I know, but I'm trying to. What, they're gonna have the Monstars come back?
who knows? My one hope is that they do not try to recreate the scene where Jordan stretches his arm out from half court, which is still the most ridiculous thing of all time.
Hold on, I have to pull up a tweet for you.
But
because
I really hope that they don't do that with LeBron. That is my one thing that I ask. As long as that doesn't happen, I will feel better.
I saw a tweet today and I was laughing for a good 5 minutes because look, I'll read it. It was Space Jam ended with MJ winning the game with his clutch stretch dunk. Space Jam 2 will end with LeBron passing the Porky Pig for a corner 3.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I was crying.
That's pretty good.
I was like, wow, that could not be any more true.
That's pretty good. I like that one. It's the good shot. It's the good shot.
I was like, wow, that's.
Imagine they like lost or something.
That'd be something for LeBron. But LeBron never loses, so they can't do that. They can't do that.
Oh man, the LeBron people going to town. He didn't have enough support. Bugs wasn't playing out there. Are you kidding me? He was completely overmatched by the Monstars. It's outrageous. He had no help out there. Who wouldn't pass on that final shot? Porky Pig sitting there wide open. You ain't hitting him. Corner pocket 3-ball. Knock it down, son.
He needed a Steve Kerr to hit the shot. Jordan passed to Kerr. Why can't LeBron pass the Porky Pig?
You can put Ray Allen in the movie. Come on now. Come on. LeBron now. What did he have? 47? He did enough. Can't get 1-3. How's Porky Pig even in the game? Stephen A. Smith analysis. Porky Pig shouldn't even have arms to touch a basketball.
Oh man, that's so great. That's so great.
It's so. They'd be like,
Fire the coach. Who's coaching this team?
LeBron still deserves MVP though. That one for sure. He's still the best player on that court, right? David Blatt's the head coach with Mike Brown as the assistant. Spoelstra's coaching the other team just because he can.
I think they said this movie's coming out, in 2017?
Jordan's going to be up in the rafters laughing because he can.
You think he makes an appearance for the movie? I don't know. I could see it.
No, he wouldn't. I don't think he'd be happy about the whole. I bet he's very upset about the whole thing for them.
You think he cares? I don't know if he cares.
He hates LeBron.
Oh, I know he does, but I never understood why. Because I know
because he's the real closest thing to being like people always say it's Kobe. No, Kobe just is a
But
carbon copy.
He loves Kobe.
Yeah, because Kobe just copied everything that he did, but everyone knew which one of them was better. LeBron is,
I know what you think.
you
I
know
know
what I'm saying?
So I get it. Yeah, but I just think if you're LeBron James, it's a no-win situation because you can't top the first movie, and everybody will still say Jordan was better in Space Jam. It's just another thing.
How many sequels are better than the original?
That's why I don't think they should do it.
Listen, I've heard Space Jam 2 was coming out with LeBron James, I think, since 2010. So
I've even heard Space Jam was supposed to come out with Jordan playing in it, but LeBron was supposed to be a monster and play against Jordan,
listen,
which that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool.
well, here's the problem with that, right?
I mean,
How does either one of them sign up for that going into it losing? Because one of them had to lose, right? We all know for a fact Jordan's not cool with that. And I don't think now LeBron's not openly signing up for a movie that he loses to Jordan in.
that'd be even worse.
That's just not going to happen.
Because I think that time was coming around when he was the villain when he went to the Heat, and he was, everyone portrayed him as the bad guy. So I don't know, which I never really saw happening. So it was just a rumor. But no, final thing to wrap up. Luke Walton to the Lakers. What do you think of it?
You know what? I saw Chauncey Billups talking about it, and they were like, what was the point of jumping the gun and getting this decision done for the Lakers so quickly? Why did you have to do this so fast? Because they could have interviewed a lot of other guys. Listen, I understand what Luke Walton did, but do we understand who he did it with? I mean, and Steve Kerr was helping him along the way the whole time when he was stepping in for the Warriors. I just don't know if necessarily, I just think that they should have interviewed, other people. I think they should have looked into Mark Jackson and whoever their other candidates were.
They've been making a huge deal about his record with the Warriors, and I just hope the Lakers know who the Warriors had on that team and who the Lakers have on their team, because I'm sorry, I'm not putting down Luke Walton at all, but it didn't take much for them to do what they did. Because let's be honest, if they were anybody else was the head coach, they probably have somewhat similar record.
He's going from Steph Curry to D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
He's going from Draymond Green to Julius Randle. He's going from Jordan Clarkson, Klay Thompson to Jordan Clarkson. And that's no knock on those guys, but, the Warriors just had the greatest regular season of all time. That's actually not debatable. That's literally, it's a statistical fact. You're asking Luke Walton to do something he's never done before.
Yeah, and what are their expectations?
That's
what I want to know.
Here's my thing. Whatever the contract is, I don't know how long these contracts are normally for.
I saw it.
He has to ride out the whole thing. I don't care if you sign him for a 5-year deal. I don't care if he wins 3 basketball games in the first 2 years. He needs to be there for 5 years, because your team right now just finished with the 2nd worst record in the league. You're rebuilding. You cannot point the finger of blame on Luke Walton. This is his first head coaching job. Give him time to learn and adjust and build relationships with these players before you make the decision that, oh no, I need to panic fire, because it's happened so much. I mean, the fact that the Bills, and this is completely different, but the Buffalo Bills are entering this season that Rex Ryan needs to make the playoffs or he's going to get canned. That's stupid. Rex Ryan's one of the better coaches in the National Football League. We don't know what Luke Walton's going to be, but you're certainly not going to know within the first 2 seasons. You probably won't know within the first 3. If he signed on for a 5-year deal or whatever it is, keep him there 5 years. Keep him for all 5 years, and then listen. If he's doing a great job in year 4, let's do a contract extension. Or after the 5th year, evaluate the situation. Has he made our basketball team better? Has he gotten the job done that we really are expecting from him? And every single year, make realistic goals and expectations. So after this season, you were the 2nd worst team. So what's the goal going into next year? Let's get out of the bottom 7 teams. maybe bottom 5 teams. Like, we don't want to be at that laughing stock, especially if they're able to secure a top 2 overall selection.
Yeah, and that's the thing for the Lakers. The Lakers were always the royalty. They're always used to winning. And that's one downfall I think it's going to be, because Luke Walton's going to have these same expectations to.
But that's good. He's got to have those expectations. But each side, the Lakers and Luke Walton, has to understand the reality of their situation.
And they need players. You can't win with, D'Angelo Russell's trying to be your guy. I mean, no, he's not there yet. He can't do it.
Well, listen, the Lakers aren't going to be contending for a title next year. That's if anyone says that, I don't know what basketball you're watching, but absolutely,
you think it's possible to get a KD? And I don't know.
But that's another thing. Is what can they do in free agency? Here's I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Harrison Barnes is about to be a free agent.
That would be a solid.
That's a very solid pickup, especially no matter who you draft. That's a very solid pickup, and I doubt the Warriors have the money to re-sign Barnes, considering they're paying next to near maxes for Clay and Draymond and Steph. So, being realistic, Harrison Barnes is probably on a different basketball team. Grab yourself a guy like that. But another one of the biggest things is going to be player development. He made Draymond Green a much better player. Draymond Green says himself. He says he's really helped him work on his game. Do you see Julius Randle taking step forwards? Are you seeing improvement in the game of D'Angelo Russell? And I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Yes, evaluate the record. Are you winning games? But really, look at, how is your team playing and how are your players improving? There needs to be extreme patience in this situation, because you just gave Luke Walton his first ever head coaching job.
So I find it hard to believe that they would give him the whole 4 or 5 years, because if they don't get it done in 2-3 years, I think he's done. And that's just the reality of the situation. It's
what is it that he has to get done? I think is going to be the big question.
A playoff appearance, and because that's just the Lakers' reputation, that they're not okay with being one of the laughing stocks of the league.
But how long has it been since they were?
So I think it's when Kobe started getting hurt.
And that's kind of the thing. I mean, it's just gonna be the reality of the situation is the Lakers are not that at the moment. They're not that, and at some point they will once again return to that form, but it is a bit away.
Yeah, and I was surprised they didn't go after Tom Thibodeau, because
I think signing Walton is fine.
I know, and I will say this, because in Luke Walton's defense, when they contacted him, he said flat out, "Look, I don't want this to be a distraction for my team. If we're gonna do this, you need to get it done now, mid-series. Otherwise, I'm not doing it." And then you have to wait. And the Lakers probably said, "Okay, let's get it done."
Yeah.
So that's I would say that's probably why they didn't go after.
Well, no,
more names.
I mean, listen, I just think that it would have been interesting had they, taken the time to really talk to these guys. Did they rush the decision? It doesn't matter. The decision's been made. Luke Walton should be the head coach of the Lakers for the next 5 seasons.
I agree.
And that should not change, unless like Julius Randle and D'Angelo Russell and whoever they pick this year are playing at all-star caliber levels, and they're just consistently losing games, and it looks like Luke Walton's clueless over there. Then and you kind of say, all right, he's just better as an assistant coach. All right, yeah, but still, that comes after 3 seasons.
With all these big names out there, who do you think for the Knicks? Because I was going over it in my head, and what Phil Jackson's saying, I cannot stand. I really can't, because he's committed to this triangle system, and he's committed to only hiring guys he knows. And the fact that he didn't even give Tom Thibodeau a call, and there were reports that Thibodeau, contacted him, but he wanted no part of it. I don't know you. I don't want to interview you, and that's just absurd, because we've seen what happened with the Bulls when he left, and they were a completely different team. And whether you want to say it's a coincidence, I don't. They had the same core guys there, and he made them what they were, and that's just awful. And I want to know who he wants to hire now, because Luke Walton was probably the one guy that was a respectable name that you would bring in that would run the triangle. And he even said it himself. They asked him in press conferences, "Are you going to run the triangle in L.A.?" No, the triangle is a dying system, and the players are not there for it. And if the players are not there for it, why are you forcing a coach?
Because Phil doesn't know what to do. Phil's not good at his job. He's not good at his job. He needs to go. The best thing I would have ever heard if I were to be a Knicks fan is Phil wants to go back to L.A. Awesome, cool, go, please, now. Go right now.
I heard he has an opt-out after next year.
He wants to keep Kurt Rambis. He's one of one that wants to keep Kurt. I don't even know if Kurt Rambis would keep himself.
Do you think Dolan lets him? I find it hard.
Dolan just looks like he's just kind of giving Phil the reins.
But that's never happened before. Dolan always stepped in.
But the problem is it's Phil Jackson.
That's so wrong. Because
Tom Thibodeau received not only the head coaching position for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but I believe it's president of operations. It's somewhere along that line that he's in charge. He got another front office high-level position that basically allows him to run the team the way he wants. He did not even need that second title to take the Knicks job. He just wanted to be the head coach and run his system.
That's so wrong, because today's NBA is not made for a triangle to slow the ball down, feed the post, feed the big man. There's not even that many dominant big men anymore. You can't even do that. You need a threat to throw it down low into the post, form your triangle, and do something with it. But no, they don't even have that. And you can't say Porzingis is a post-up guy. He's too skinny. He's not strong enough to do that. He's a more perimeter player.
The whole, it's just... How are you going to recruit players when the most constant talks are if Melo's going to drop the no-trade clause and look to go elsewhere? How are you going to bring players in? What is appealing right now about going to the Knicks? What is appealing about it?
You're forced in a system right now. You know everything's hectic. The last 3 seasons, there's been turmoil and then just constant bitter between the team and drama going on about how Phil's not getting it done, how this New York and you need to win. And if you're a player, why deal with that? I'll go to LA when I can have a better weather and West Coast, and there's probably some more upsides considering they have young talent. And the only talent you have is Carmelo, who's a ball hog, and Porzingis is a bright spot for 3/4 of the year, and then last quarter he did nothing.
Listen, think about this for just a quick second. The first thing that Phil Jackson was supposed to do was ink Steve Kerr to a deal. Steve Kerr turned him down and went to Golden State. And look at where the two teams are. Phil Jackson has not done one thing right for the New York Knicks. Not one.
Carmelo has I don't know if you've seen his press conferences this past week. He's come out and said this coaching search needs to expand. We need somebody else.
He wants to be a part of it, and Phil just wants to do the whole thing by himself. Listen, I doubt Melo plays for the Knicks next year at this rate. With the way things are going, why would you?
And he wasn't even in the exit interviews because he's like, look, I'm not doing the whole triangle learning thing. I really don't care. That's probably what he said.
He said I could teach the triangle in 10 minutes. What? So your superstar says he could teach the triangle in 10 minutes, yet your team can't successfully run the triangle. Well, what are we pointing at now? Does the system just not work? Maybe then.
In today's NBA, no, it doesn't. It's a completely different game. It is. I don't know. The Knicks are not going anywhere soon.
Fire Phil 16.
Listen, if that was breaking news when we got home from this show, I would be like, okay. I mean, no one can do any worse.
It would be a good thing.
That's what I'd say. I'd be like, nobody can.
Very good thing.
I'd be like, who are they gonna get? Probably won't do a worse job. I don't know. Probably horrible.
Somewhat depressing note, though. Don't end it on this. Dave, you're the man.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to do these shows with you for the past 3 years.
Yeah, it's been real. I'm not gonna lie.
I look forward to you coming back next year at some point, just for a stop in, just to do a little spot, do a little segment. I look forward to yelling at one another throughout the rest of this baseball season, it's been a lot of fun.
I'll tell you one thing. You better hope the Mets don't win a World Series, because I'll come back and.
Hey, here's the thing. That's kind of the benefit right now.
I know.
Is that you won't be here. I can just shut my phone off. My phone died right now, so I'm just gonna roll with that excuse. It's been dead since we did your last show, Dave.
Oh man, I would just keep going. I'd probably send you an occasional text every 2 days. Like, do you remember the Mets won the World Series?
I even wrote for you on your birthday. I know. I even said I'm glad the Mets are doing well.
You did, because I went to the game.
And I tried to be I even wrote I'm not being sarcastic.
I know.
I was I mean this. I'm very happy for you.
Because I probably wouldn't yeah, he's being sarcastic.
Yeah.
That wasn't.
So I want that to be clear. It's been a lot of fun.
I know. We've come from Holy Cross HGTV. When I was producer, then you were the host.
Yeah.
When I was there, I was like,
things have changed.
Yeah.
We as Mr. Sip would say, we've moved on from Eddie Burns.
We've come a long way from Eddie Burns. He's now the principal.
Eddie,
Mr. Burns.
Oh, Mr. Burns.
Oh man, but
I wish we could have had Sip here for the final show.
That would have been something.
I've seen Sip 3 times, in the past 2 weeks, and it's weird because I hadn't seen him.
You probably double take.
And he goes, I've been running into you a lot. I'm like, yeah, what are you doing? You going to a lot of your classes or something like that? He goes, trying to make every bit count as we come down the stretch.
Yeah, now, no, I'm not. Oh my God, I started crying because when we were going through the whole scene, we picked up all of our senior stuff, the cap and gown, all that stuff. You had to go through a whole table thing, and they had an honors society thing, and he went up to the table. He's like, I gotta get a stamp from you? They goes, are you in the honors society? He goes, no. He goes, it was a good run. I'm like, yeah, you probably should have went to some more classes to get that honor. And he's like, you know what, you're probably right.
Good old Sip.
Oh, but man, it's been awesome these past 2 years. Doing these shows has been the highlight of the week.
It's been a good time. We've had some good guests. We've had Tom Takashushki.
We've had Chris Freitag here.
We've had Chris Freitag was in host. We've had some very very good listeners to the show who we've given tons of shout outs to. We've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been awesome. This radio stations it gave a lot of opportunity, and it was awesome to just to say to yourself, I have my own radio show at school. People are like, oh wow, it's really something great that you can have at school, and thank Iona for that. But that's pretty much gonna wrap it up.
That's the wrap, Dave.
Final show.
That's the wrap, Dave.
That's a wrap. No, it's been real. David Giacomino, Kevin Walsh, final whistle. Have a good one, folks.
David Giacomino out.